Fashionable youngsters are off to save the world once again. There's Noel, the result of a genetic experiment to put Squall Leonhart's head onto the body of Sora from Kingdom Hearts, and Sarah, the somewhat less confident sister of the previous game's hero.
He's the strong one, not me.
Quantum leaping along with them are a cutesy Moogle named Mog, and tameable, trainable monsters. You can get by with pets you capture from just the first 2 areas, but there are many more if you feel like you gotta catch 'em all. Square Enix and Tri-Ace join forces on this indulgent space-time twister, and while they address a number of criticisms leveled against Final Fantasy XIII-1, in some cases the cure may be worse than the disease. You wanted nonlinearity? You got it, though it doesn't pay off in any meaningful way. Towns, activities, check and check. Tutorial shorter than 20 hours? How does 2 hours sound? 20 hours into this game, it's almost over, but there's also some irritating, mandatory backtracking where you're forced to scour previous maps for hidden items and, surprise, a platforming level that's as pointless as it is dull. There's also an absurdly high frequency of combat there, making it my new go-to example of uninspired filler. The vast majority of battles waver between easy and tedious, but 1 or 2 bosses seem to assume you've done a fair amount of grinding. So be ready to spend a few additional hours side questing or straight up level farming if you aren't an absolute wizard with the Crystarium level grid and paradigm shift systems. The latter is actually the high point of the experience, challenging players to flow from offense to defense at a high pace and orchestrate traps and tactical stunts within fights. However, where shifting paradigms feels active and rewarding, the quick-time events that mar most boss fights feel anticlimactic, and worse, diminishing. Also inconsequential are the live trigger decisions. The options are sometimes unclear, and the stakes usually trivial, so it ends up just being noise.
Why didn't you go after them?
As if that weren't enough to overcome, the characters are also difficult to relate to. The voice actors do what they can with the material, but the writing, both in the overall plot and specific dialogue, misses the mark. Repeatedly guilty of telling instead of showing, leaning on ineffective narration, and just generally being silly.
Don't ever lay down and wait to die!
Even after 20 hours of blatant exposition, the rules of this universe's time travel feel indistinct, lost somewhere beneath the repetitious, nonsensical babbling of its miscast heroes. The uncertainty never develops into complexity, left vague only to hand-wave past questionable plot points. 13-2's also guilty of excessive sentimentality, clumsily pairing tragic situations with maudlin music as a cheap, unearned pull at the heartstrings. Some of the instrumental tracks are effective, if not classic, but here and there lyrics intrude on dialogue, and at times the tone of the music and tone of the scene don't line up at all. The worst offender is the ending, which is also a microcosm of the whole experience. Visually impressive, entertaining at first glance, but insubstantial, inconsistent, and inelegant. Final Fantasy XIII-2 is pretty, but shallow and vexing. However, if you just want to get some action, it's happy to provide that. It's decent enough to while away a few dozen hours if you aren't bothered by its ill-defined structure or melodramatic presentation, and... Oh, it's them. I should take this. Sorry, just 1 second. Hey. Yeah, I was just talking about you. Actually, I've been meaning for us to talk. Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. Look, Final Fantasy, you and I have had some great times. I just think we've grown too far apart, you know? You're gonna make someone out there real happy, and you deserve to find each other. It wouldn't be fair of either of us to keep trying to recapture what we had. And, you know, you'll always be special to me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.